A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time. So today's episode, we wanted to talk, I'm calling it junk food and jogging.
Yeah, we can do both at the same time.
We can. I have.
Yeah.
jogging back from the 7-Eleven with a big thing of nachos with the chili, the pump chili and the pump cheese.
Yes. Yeah. Getting the heart rate up while snapping into a Slim Jim.
But I just wanted to talk about diet and exercise and how it's transformed from, being in the throes of serious active alcoholism to being in recovery. I know that I have always, I don't think that I've ever had good eating habits up until recently. I was always, when I was drinking, it was like, can we order pizza? Let's get a pizza and wings. When we lived by, you remember when we lived by that 7-Eleven over by the coffee corner where there used to be?
Yeah.
And it was when I first met you, and we would go back and forth there, and then the Wendy's would be up the road, and that was it, man. And like 20 or 21, that was the extent of it. It was a lot of nachos and a lot of Wendy's and lots of beer and that cheap like Mad Dog or that Old English, all that nasty stuff.
Well, I remember you ordering a pizza one night in Seattle, and while you had to order, I think you remember this story, but you had to order like a dozen items because you had a house full of people, and we were listening to like Prince or something, and the whole time you were ordering, your order just got sexier and sexier. Like you started off with like wedge salads, and by the end your voice just got really sultry and like velvety, and and it was
extra
almost
pepperoni.
Like you were seducing some poor Greek guy who worked at the pizza place. I think he just threw the bag of food through like the cracked door and ran.
Just being a smart ass on the phone.
Yeah. But I think while I was in active alcoholism, my diet consisted of whatever would sustain the machine so that it wouldn't completely fall apart until I had my next drink. I don't think there was a lot of thought as to what I was doing for my body. It was just fuel to keep the fire burning, so I wouldn't keel over. But it's changed a lot now.
Lots of brown and beige food at the bar, that bar food as they call it.
Tons of brown food. That's a great way to put it.
Like deep fried fish and chicken and everything breaded and just, I don't know. Really, really
pretzels,
gnarly stuff.
Peanuts out of the peanut bowl that people had touched with their dirty pea hands.
Oh God, yeah. Whatever. A little whiskey will fix that up, right?
Sterilize it, right? Yeah. And the next day you're like, how the hell did I get Shigella?
So gross. I even remember having these I'd be in the middle of a bender and having these hellacious hangovers, and I would order like $50 or $60 of Chinese food, and so that was going to be like what I was going to eat for the next 3 or 4 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, that $50 that'll last me like 3 days, and then those styrofoam containers where you got like the broccoli beef, and you keep putting it in the microwave, and it just kind of congeals to the side, and
yes,
it was just not a good. No, there was no health consciousness whatsoever when I was drinking heavily.
It's like a double hit, because not only you're hitting your liver and your kidneys and your endocrine system, you're fucking all your guts all up. You're raising your cholesterol level up. You're making the heart beat harder. The fuller you get, the harder your heart works and everything. And it's just, and then on top of it, maybe you chew up 4 or 5 Advil. So then, you got that going for you. but it's changed a lot. It's funny because when I first got into early sobriety, I talked to someone I really trusted, and he told me, get a bag of Jolly Ranchers, and I thought that he was fucking crazy because I was like, what, candy? I'm gonna put candy on top of this like maddening craving I have, this itch that I can't, you know what I mean? Like my life is completely falling apart, and you want me to put candy? Candy's gonna fill that hole, you know? Like I'm just gonna fill that liquor hole with candy. And in hindsight, I realized it was very good advice, you know, because sugar. Once I was lacking the sugar from all of the liquor, because I was a liquor drinker. I was never a beer drinker. So, you know, the liquor is all sugar and wheat. And once I had cut that out, my body just like screamed for sugar. I mean, I was just wild. I'd eat a ton of ice cream, cookies. Like I never liked any of that stuff. And then I sobered up, and about 2 weeks into it, I'm drinking club soda with just sugar in the club soda. I could go buy a soda, but I figured club soda with sugar and it was healthier, right?
maybe marginally. Maybe it depends on how much sugar you were putting in the bottom of that glass.
A lot, like enough that it was crunchy. It was a crunchy drink, yeah. But I think in the beginning, you know, taking that sugar in was a coping mechanism. You know, for me, it was important. It's not healthy, but it was important for me because I had another thing to cope with. You know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've always had a sweet tooth, and you know that's not been the best for my weight. I'm still kind of a big dude, and I've been working on that. But I mean, I would combine those things all the time. I mean, be drinking, and then you know, like, yeah, of course, let's get some cake and get some ice cream and a box of cookies, all that kind of stuff. And I remember too when I very first quit drinking, it was like the sugar, you know, the craving. So now it's not only like when my mind kind of settled down, and like, you know. And it was like, okay, well, so you're not gonna have alcohol, and you don't really you feel in your brain, you're like, it's okay, you can make it today without it. But all of a sudden, it was, I have to have something sweet. Like it wasn't even a choice. Yeah. And you know, so it would be like pints of ice cream, and then it was like 2 pints of ice cream a night there in the very beginning. I go drive to 7-Eleven after work. I get 2 pints of ice cream. Sometimes I get a few candy bars too, just kind of, you know, to break it up a little bit. And I don't even know if I'd bust one open right away, but I would eat one and thinking that I wasn't going to eat the other one. The whole idea is, and I think Mark Maron has a great bit about ice cream. If you guys like Mark Maron, you should check out his bit about ice cream. But I would eat one and be done with it, and thinking that I wasn't going to have the second one at all. And then I would eat the second one. And just and I would be so full and so sick, because we're talking, I don't know how many calories that is. I think it's probably like 2,500 calories in the span of like a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And I remember laying there, and just like the acid reflux was so bad in the back of my throat, I would wake up and feel like I was going to puke. Like it was this whole other fucked up kind of weird hangover thing. And it was like from eating 2 pints of ice cream, I'd wake up and there'd be like bile in the back of my throat, and I'd feel terrible. And I was like, I can't do this ever again. And the next night, I'd go to the other 7-Eleven so that the guy that was at the one before didn't see me. I don't know if you're seeing a pattern here with buying things.
Holy shit. Yeah. So you were doing that. So you were basically, you were like cutting out the vodka and then just ruining your life with ice cream and fucking Milky Ways.
Yes. Wow. Yes. So I would break it up.
Funny.
And I would go to all the other every grocery store in the area until it was like, until the fourth day. And I was like, either I have to go drive farther away, or I have to go to that weird sketchy place where the people with no shoes hang out at. You know what I mean? You know that store, right? You got one by you.
I used to buy booze there. Yeah.
So, and I went there too. And there's nothing worse than getting like old Ben & Jerry's from a sketchy, Quickie Mart.
Right.
And it's not even a flavor you want. You know what I mean? I just really felt. So I had just using the exact same patterns of behavior, and just Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah. It's just amazing how we can pull ourselves into that same circle with other behaviors. If it feels good, keep doing it until you break something, you know? Yeah, it really is fascinating.
It was so
really is.
awful, and I couldn't believe how just sick it would make me, and I would still do it. Well, I mean, I can believe it, but then I thought, oh well, I'll go to the store like an adult one, and I'll buy like a 6-pack of Klondike bars, because I can't eat all 6 in one night, right? That was.
But you can though.
You can though. You certainly can. You're like, I'll just have one, but then you just need another, and then you need another, and then I'm right back in the same boat. So it was kind of like switching from vodka to white wine or something like that.
Right. Yeah. You're like, oh well, this isn't as bad, but it's still like, yeah. It's just
Yeah, that too.
Listening to Al Green eating as much Klondike bars as you can.
So there is a certain level of like, it's not as bad, and you justify it because you're not drinking. But after a while I was like, God damn, when is this going to quit? When is this going to not be, when am I going to say that enough is enough with this? Because it was just getting out of control. And I was gaining. Most people talk about quitting drinking and they lose weight, but that's probably because they were working out and eating pretty well while they were in active alcoholism. I was doing neither of those things. So it took me, I don't know, a year and a half, almost like 2 years before I quit eating, maybe longer, quit eating ice cream like I was drinking vodka.
Yeah. This is like your ice cream bottom.
It was.
I mean, not to laugh about it. It's just like, I gotta laugh about those things because I didn't have to come to terms with those things. I did a lot of just the same justifications I did with alcohol though, because I would get these chocolate cookies from the market of choice down the street, and I don't really like chocolate, but there were these certain chocolate cookies I'd get. I loved them, and they'd come in like a pack of 14 or 13, and I would eat like 7 in a sitting, and then I'd tell myself, well, no, this is good because it's not as bad as drinking a fifth of whiskey. I'm justifying this now because it's not as bad as drinking a fifth of whiskey. You know what I mean? I'm not going to eat 7 cookies and crash my car. Or,
it's keeping me from drinking, so I have to do it.
Yes, exactly. And it seems like those behaviors, you justify them early enough in the early phases of it, but it's always really, really important to kind of, in my opinion, it was important for me to have to stop and reassess, just like you did, what your behaviors are. It actually gives you a really, really interesting look into your patterns, your behavior patterns, your quote-unquote character defects, those things that compel you. Mine was rock stars when I first got sober. Those Rockstar energy drinks, man, I would pound 2 of those during the day, and to some people that's not very much. I mean, I know people will drink multiple cans of that, but for me, I would drink 2 of them fast in a row and then smoke a ton of cigarettes and then feel like I was time traveling for the rest of the day. Do you know what I mean? Like I just had a head full of, I don't know, like the inside of my brain was like a lava lamp or something. It just, I was just literally seeing through time and space. I was like,
weird buzz.
I was like McConaughey in Interstellar, pushing the books out. I was so damn high on caffeine and whatever else they put in there. But I mean, I've got 4 years of continuous sobriety, and honestly, I only really put it in check within the past 5 months.
Yeah.
As far as I would slowly put it in check, but my eating habits, I definitely became more aware of them and more cognizant of what I was doing. In the past like 5 months, and I've seen great benefits from it. It's almost like like hitting the ice cream bottom. It's almost like a second coming. I don't know if that's the correct word for it, but it's like this second metamorphosis where I'm like, wow, I'm actually feeling even better than I felt when I first got sober and was floating around that pink cloud. I was like, wow, I feel even better. I wonder what else I can do to feel even better in a way that's not gonna, kill me.
Or doesn't have some awful consequence on the other side.
Yeah, or make my leg fall off or something,
So then tell me what happened 5 months ago that led you to make a change that was so big.
Well,
or that led.
When I quit drinking, I stopped having acid reflux, and I like lived with acid reflux constantly while I was drinking. That's all I did. It was just heartburn from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. I would eat Zantac. I would drink baking soda and water. I tried everything. And so for the first like year and a half, the heartburn went away because my body was no longer having to process alcohol. And it came back like just as bad as before. I can relate really well to that whole experience of waking up a bile in my throat, aspirating on it, actually inhaling the bile, which I hope these listeners aren't making dinner right now, but it was, feeling like I was dying because I ate a ton of KFC. And so I like looking at myself. Yeah. I weighed like 210 pounds, and I was looking at myself, and I'm like 5'10". And I was just like, man, I'm overweight. And I looked up my BMI online, and I don't recommend looking anything up online of that nature because it'll just ruin your life. But I did, and it said I was overweight, and I only needed to gain like maybe 20, 30 more pounds, and I'd be considered obese. And I was just like, this heartburn won't go away. I always have headaches. I'm always out of breath. I just don't feel good. So I got an app called MyFitnessPal. It's from Under Armour, the people that make those shiny weird shirts. And I started using the app just to count calories, right? So in the app I entered, I want to lose this much weight. How many calories a day do I need to eat? And so I started just following that caloric suggestion, and I just logged every single thing I ate. And then I started adding yoga to it, and then I started adding light weights and some light calisthenics to it. Because I had a little time in the morning to do it. But even just counting calories alone, I mean, I had just started losing weight quickly. I mean, I wouldn't recommend maybe doing it the way I did it because I was pretty intense about it. Like I was trying to go under the numbers constantly, which is probably not healthy, and maybe setting myself up for a weight gain if I don't continue to regiment the way I eat. I mean, I could eat, I can eat whatever I want. I just have to stay within my numbers.
And so
my numbers would be like, go ahead.
This was 5 months ago you did this now, and you were 210? 5 or 6 months?
April, maybe. So,
okay. And you were 210, and you're now at?
160. So I've lost 40 pounds. Well, like I said, though, I may have done it incorrectly, and I would hate to put that out there and be like, listen, the app told me I could eat 1,750 a day, and I was eating like 1,500, 1,400 a day as far as my numbers of calories. But then...
Right.
The closer you get to your goal, it starts dropping those calories. So at one point you're only eating like 1,500 calories a day if you're adjusting it to try to lose a pound a week, And for me, maybe it is the alcoholic brain in me, but I was like, I need to do this fast and intensely, which isn't the healthiest thing for some people. I mean, it's working for me thus far. I mean, we'll talk maybe when we hit letter X in this podcast, I'll weigh like 240 pounds because I fucked it up. I hope not. But I mean, I've just been really, and I work out every morning for at least 30 minutes.
So, but do you feel any more like intense cravings for things? Do things trouble you? Is it?
Sometimes I do. Yeah. Like sometimes I'll really intensely crave sugar. Or it's always sugar, man. Sugar and salt, just those base things. But it's just like with alcohol. I mean, I spent all of my early sobriety in such intense craving that I just realized that I had to just program it and do it like shit, just live 10 minutes at a time. At this point, like, okay, I can go 10 minutes without jamming as many fucking Skittles in my air hole as I possibly can, which is what I was compelled to do. I think using the same discipline that, I don't even know if discipline is the correct word, using the same philosophy that I did when I quit drinking, and I applied it to the way I ate and made sure to eat healthy and eat things like high protein things, eat lots of vegetables, eat lots of fruit, because I just would feel full. I'd feel sated, and then I wouldn't want to eat anymore. Or if I was feeling a weird hunger craving, maybe drink a bunch of water. Maybe my brain is being dumb and I'm thirsty, but it's telling me I'm hungry, because it does that sometimes too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. For sure. I've definitely, water has been something that I get those big ass bottles, and I try to drink like 2. So I try to drink 3 liters of water a day. I don't always get there.
Yeah,
but
I don't either.
There's that thing where where that craving kicks in, and you're like, well, what if I just drink some water, and then it will eventually go away. But I love the idea of 10 minutes at a time, because I have not been regimented in my diet.
Right.
Not by far. I've been better. I don't do ice cream anymore. Although I've worked on things like, if you throw some frozen bananas and avocados and blueberries into your little magic bullet, your little NutriBullet, it's pretty damn good. You throw a little almond milk in there, a little coconut water.
It's a fucking party in your mouth, dude.
I'm still, when I'm still eating like 2 bananas and, a whole box of blueberries before bed because I wanted some ice cream. But it's making better mistakes. But
yeah, it is. It's that pattern still, and it's hard because you've already, like, step one, you're rewiring your way of thinking. So your step one, you're like, you've committed to sobriety and recovery. And here you are now. You're completely, you're not completely recovered, but you're sober and you're working at your recovery every day. And then now you got step two. You're like, well, I've eaten like crap the entire time. I've treated my body horribly. So now I've got to make this second step, you know what I mean, to improve my life. Now, like, if you're at step one and you're like, hey, I'm doing great, I can eat a whole box of crunch berries and I'm fucking golden, then like, more power to you. I mean, this is just what worked for me. I just felt like, how can I make it better? Like, I'm already good. How can I get better? How can I feel better? And I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of vanity. There was some vanity. No, I'm not. I'll be honest. There's a lot of vanity with me, but I don't know. That's just my character. I'm like, I want to fit into my clothes again. Do you know what I mean? I don't want my belt straining. I'd sit down and my shirt buttons would like fight. And I was like, damn, dude, I look like a man sausage. Like, I'm not feeling this.
I think for me, last month was really something clicked in me, and I was having issues where, because I'm kind of a big dude, but I'm 6'1" and I'm broad shouldered, and but I was having issues where, like, underneath my belly I was wearing this belt, and then it was starting to like scrape under there, and this again, I'm sorry if anybody's making dinner out there or anything, but
enjoy your dinner.
But so it would like really start to hurt. So I was like, God damn it. I got a different belt, and I had to, it was just this really kind of sad and disappointing moment where I was like, my gut is in pain because it's scraping against this buckle and I can't even wear the belt. And so I woke up, and that was, for me, it was not just about diet, which I didn't go too extreme except for the last week or two, but I started walking, and I was like, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to go for a walk. And my left foot, which still hurts a little bit, was hurting like hell. And I just did it one day, and I did like 1 mile. And then I was like, well, I can go the next day and do 1 mile. And then I can go like 3 and 4 and 5. And I don't think in the last like 5 weeks I've missed maybe 1 day. And I woke up at 6:30 this morning, and I was out there by 8, and I did 4.5 miles today, and I feel great. And it's just like, I'm also very impatient, and I want to see results, and I don't really see results when I look in the mirror just yet, but I'm also not super counting calories or anything like that. My whole idea is, well, I can be a little more lax on what I eat as long as I get out there. And so then I want to like push myself to do more, which I need to find a better balance for that, rather than just saying, well, I'm going to go out and jog for 10 miles as best I can, because I'll walk and then jog until I can't, and walk and jog and walk and jog. And like, oh, if I go and do 10 miles, then I can eat like a pint of ice cream. I don't want to live that kind of life either. I'm trying to keep it a little more sustainable,
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's all about baby steps too. I mean, it's not about pushing yourself as hard as you possibly can. I feel like culturally we have this thing in the United States where we're like, we really need to take it to the extreme and push ourselves as hard as we can every time we exert ourselves physically. Do you know what I mean? Or every time we work out, you need to like fuck yourself over. And I feel like you got to do what you can, what you're capable of doing, because through the act of physical activity and through the act of working out, you're like, you don't need to push your limit. You just need to do what you can do, because you start building that resistance up, and then one day, a few weeks down the road, you're like, okay, I can do a little more, and then a few weeks, you know what I mean? Like, you just build it up slow. That's the path I take, because if I were kicking my own ass, I wouldn't want to do it. I'd be like, well, fuck this. Every time I do this, I feel like I'm dying, you know, or I'm hurting myself physically, or I'm like not taking in enough calories, or you know, I feel lightheaded, you know, just from existing, you know, and I feel like, you know, moderation is good, and we are people who do not know moderation, so it's difficult, you know. There's a definite thing going on there, a definite discipline. That's more appropriate use for the word discipline than it is for recovery, because you know, recovery requires discipline, but it also requires working a system. And I feel like, you know, being healthy, because I mean, this isn't even necessarily, I mean, my concept is podcast right now is not losing weight, it's just being healthy, feeling better,
right?
Not feeling like a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Well, there was somebody, I think, I don't know who said it, but they were talking about working out, and they said that most people don't even know how good their bodies are supposed to feel. I think it was Joe Rogan who said it, and he said people don't know how good their bodies are supposed to feel. And I was like, wow. That's so true. I want to know what my body is supposed to feel like. I want to know how good it can feel. So that's when I started getting up in the morning and going for a walk and then jogging a little bit. I wasn't jogging a week ago. I just started that in the last 7 days. 2 weeks ago, I think I talked to you. I did like a 3-day juice cleanse. Oh, I would not recommend it for anybody. The first day I just wanted to eat. The second day I slept most of it. I felt like I had a hangover. Like I couldn't, I was foggy and my head hurt. But I still went out and did my walks, you know. By the third day, things started to lighten up a little bit. And, you know, in that week, what was exciting, albeit it was probably and mostly just water weight, in 7 days, I had lost 6 pounds, which is not, you know, any other way. That's not a healthy way to lose it. But it was kind of exciting to see those numbers, and you're like, oh, okay, so I can do this, right? Okay, so now I see a little bit of results. So then I go, okay, it's now almost, if I don't get to go and take my walk, if I don't get to go out there and try to push myself a little bit more, I don't feel like it's like I'm starting the day well. It's like it's become something that I really have to do now. And then I pack my bag if I'm going to my girlfriend's house, or if we're going to stay somewhere, or if I'm going out of town, I'll pack my bag to make sure I have the things I need, and I'll get up early enough, regardless of what the appointment is, so that I can have that walk in. And it's gorgeous out there. And I put on you put on an audiobook or a podcast and just let your mind wander. It's good for the mental too, you know? I mean, I don't know how you feel when you go out and, you know, walk or exercise. It just kind of, I'm able to think a little bit easier afterwards.
Yeah, it definitely clears the fog out for sure. It definitely helps with the inspiration. Yeah.
That too. Things I was working on, pieces that I was trying to write, and then I would say, okay, we'll think about that. And it was when I was out there walking that that something clicked, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what that is. That's what I need. That was the bridge I was looking for in the piece I was writing. And I don't know if we talked about this. I think we did last week, was that idea of having to change your mindset to spark something else in inspiration, and that exercise is a great way to change your mindset. Yeah. At least it has been for me. So I think the biggest thing that I could say to anybody is incremental progress is great.
Absolutely.
And that incremental progress gets bigger and bigger exponentially. It has for me, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just it's so easy to look at yourself. It's so easy for me to look at myself and not congratulate myself on how far I've come. Because it's easy to forget that I used to sleep in till 4:00 in the afternoon, drinking vodka under the bed after eating 2 pints of ice cream the night before.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are the things. Yeah, those hardships that. Yeah.
Driving through McDonald's
Man,
And just
high-fiving the McDonald's lady. What's up? I shouldn't even be driving right now. I should probably be going to jail right now. Thank you for the Happy Meal. Yes, I'm a grown man.
don't tell me.
It's
I
for
don't
my
need serving
kid.
suggestions from you.
Yeah, I'm going to feed it to my kid for breakfast.
I know it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm an awesome parent.
So yeah, man. I mean, it's just diet and exercise. And I would have, if anybody tried to tell me, like, you know, you really need to make sure you're eating well and you're getting some exercise. Nobody wants to hear that shit.
No, yeah. Anytime anybody told me that, I'd be like, hit the fucking road, man.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Get out of your Poindexter, your square.
I got 72 corn dogs in the freezer. You think I'm ready for that?
I'm set for life, son. Yeah.
So, I would just say that start with whatever you have, and you know that's what I did.
Right.
And
It's
go
just,
from there.
yeah. Anything you can do to make yourself feel a little better that doesn't involve, you know, hurting yourself is awesome, even if it's little by little. I am not the greatest example of physical health. I don't know if I ever will be, but I feel good, man. I feel good.
You look great. You're svelte, man.
Thanks.
I don't think that I've seen you this thin possibly ever. Jerry.
No, yeah, I haven't weighed this much since I was in high school.
So I am inspired to get out there and continue my particular fitness struggles and journey.
You journey, man. The J is for journey, jogging, and
journey,
justice,
junk food. No more junk food. I mean, I don't know. I still like to have treats and stuff, but I just do it differently.
Occasional junk food, yeah. Mm-hmm. I do it occasionally. I'll do 4 or 5 chips. I'll count out 5 chips and eat them. And I'm like, 50 calories. Boom. 5 whole chips.
You know
Savor them chips, wags.
You know what's great is I have been doing half and half. I do this at night. So instead of like ice cream, I do half like cashew milk and half coconut water, and it's creamy and it's sweet, and I drink it, and it's about 90 calories, and I'm good to go.
Bam.
So
there you go.
Easy does it, little at a time, and
that's it. That's it. Easy does it. One day at a time. 10 minutes at a time.
10 minutes at a time.
If you're not ready to do it, don't do it till you're ready to do it. But once you start doing it and you see that what'd you say, that incremental progress, it's definitely worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
Thanks again for listening. As always, our music is by Neglect. You can find his stuff at neglectsound.bandcamp.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And get a hold of us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.